Chapter 3. The Cause and Cure of Seminal Emissions. In spite of the universality of this condition and contrary to the orthodox medical teaching that it is normal, seminal emissions, in the female, leukorrhea, mucus discharges from the genital organs, are decidedly pathological. They have definite causes, and experience proves that once these are removed, they will disappear. They do not occur among animals, and are unquestionably the results of unnatural living. Nocturnal emissions are really a mild form of spermatorrhea, the male equivalent of leukorrhea. Leukorrhea is not the discharge of a lubricating fluid in the vagina, or of useless mucus, but of valuable seminal fluid, the raw material of brain tissue, both of the maternal and the embryonic organism. This fluid is highly charged with electric energy, and its loss devitalizes the nervous system. Involuntary seminal emissions occur in both sexes, the female being subject to much greater losses, in this respect, than the male. That this condition is morbid is proven by the fact that its pathological after-effects are identical as those which follow its physiological analogues, masturbation and sexual intercourse. One subject to involuntary losses cannot claim to be leading a chaste life. Indeed, repeated seminal emissions involve a much greater loss of vital fluid than that caused by an occasional orgasm. The former condition is one of greater incontinence than the latter. According to the Mosaic law, a male or a female subject to involuntary seminal emissions was considered as unclean, incontinent, or unhealthy, even as was one who indulged in sexual intercourse. To meat-eaters, this law may not seem rational, but to vegetarians, as were the followers of Moses, it is perfectly obvious. Seminal emissions are due to two fundamental causes: 1. Wrong diet, the eating of animal foods, eggs, dairy products and grains, and 2. Incontinence. It is a physiological fact that seminal emissions, in both male and female, may be caused and aggravated by sexual indulgence, and that a strictly continent life is the most important factor in their cure. They are not the escape of excessively produced semen, or of sexual energy which was denied gratification, as was formerly supposed. Almost all women are continually losing sexual fluid, the water of life is slowly escaping from their bodies. It is for this reason that woman is the weaker sex, though the female organism should be as strong as the male, as it is among primitive people. This persistent loss of seminal fluid, especially at the commencement and at the end of each menstrual flow, results in the premature atrophy of the ovaries, the menopause, which is the direct cause of senility. By retaining all genital secretions within the body, the ovaries may continue to function throughout life, and instead of the menopause and old age, which are the unnatural results of previous incontinent and unhygienic living, there will be perpetual youth and the indefinite retention of the reproductive capacity. Previous sexual indulgence, either masturbation, or its equivalent, sexual intercourse, produces a weakened and prolapsed condition of the sex organs, which induces seminal emissions. When one is in perfect health, and is leading a continent life, all generated sexual fluid is immediately absorbed into the circulation, none of it is wasted. An internal obstruction to this lymphatic absorption, and the subsequent overaccumulation of seminal fluid within its containers, may lead to its discharge. Sleeping with a full bladder and rectum causes a compression of the seminal vesicles, or the uterus, which lie sandwiched in between them. This may result in an emission. All foods that are constipating, or which irritate the sexual nerve centers, may cause seminal emissions. These include meat, fowl, fish, shell food, eggs, dairy products, bread, cereals, cake, pastry, salt, pepper, spices, sugar, mustard, alcohol, tea, coffee, chocolate, candy and ice cream. Because of their irritating and stimulating effect upon the sex organs, causing masturbation in children, these foods should be eliminated from the diet. By subsisting exclusively on raw vegetables and fruits, and by leading a continent life, one may forever do away with involuntary seminal losses. This conserved energy will then be transformed into mental and spiritual power. The experiments of the American Nutrition Authority, Dr. Francis G. Benedict, on a group of 24 normal young college men, have shown that nocturnal emissions are products of the protein content of the diet. Putting these subjects on a low-protein diet for 4 months, nocturnal emissions disappeared in most cases, to recur again when the previous high-protein meat diet was resumed. Benedict showed that not only nocturnal emissions, but sex desire and all sexual phenomena are subject to dietary control, particularly the protein content of the diet. On a low-protein diet, they disappear. This proves that sexuality in man is an abnormal effect of a high-protein diet, and that chastity will become the rule when the diet is carefully regulated to be low in protein. To cure seminal emissions, a total avoidance of erotic thoughts, reading, feelings, associations, and practices is necessary. One must not smoke, for nicotine has a poisonous effect upon the sex organs and their secretions. Lascivious dreams are cerebral reflexes of our thoughts during the day. They may be prevented by a constructive direction of mental energies during waking hours. Incipient emissions during sleep may be, and should be, immediately inhibited and indrawn by a conscious effort of the will. One should arise on first wakening no matter what the time or how long one has slept, for emissions are most liable to occur towards the end of sleep, after dawn, when dreams are most prolific, and when the bladder and colon, being most distended, induce the greatest pressure upon the seminal vesicles or the uterus. The sexual organs, as well as the whole body, should be daily washed with cold water, especially on arising and before retiring. Sunbaths are very beneficial, and sufficient outdoor exercise is advisable. It is best to sleep nude or in a nightgown. Woolen underwear should not be worn, neither should a belt, for anything tied around the waist interferes with the lymphatic absorption of seminal fluid. It is best to avoid indoor occupations which compel one to be seated all day, and to engage in those necessitating outdoor physical activity. Nothing should be eaten or drunk for several hours before retiring. The largest meal should be at noon, not eating anything, except possibly fruit, in the evening. It is best to retire shortly after sundown, and to arise as soon after midnight as one first awakens, for emissions and lascivious dreams are less liable to occur before midnight than after. One should not sleep in a hotel, or on a mattress which has been promiscuously used. Neither should one sleep on a spring, or on a soft, yielding surface. This causes the pelvic region of the body to sink downwards, which results in a congestion of the circulation in the genital region, a condition conducive to emissions. One should sleep out of doors, winter as well as summer, on a smooth, hard surface, such as a thin mattress placed on boards, using no pillow. It is best to sleep on the right side.